You're listening to the Tide Nation podcast, sponsored by Anchor with your hosts, Adam and Jake, your source for all things Alabama. Roll Tide.
What's going on, everybody? You're listening to the Tide Nation podcast. I'm your host,
Adam. That's me. Jake, that's him. Jake,
What's
say
up?
So we appreciate you guys tuning in today. Hey, please remember you can find us on all of your streaming sites for free, and we ask that you please rate, review, share, and subscribe. So, Jake, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go into it.
All right. So today's show, we're going to go over obviously that huge win against LSU. We're going to look ahead to the Mississippi State game and maybe some coaching hires for Saban if we have time, because I'm probably going to talk for 30 minutes on the barrage of threes we hit against LSU, and then finish up with some social media questions. So, man, dude, Tuesday night was insane. We played at LSU, Assembly Center, and 105-75. Just, I don't really know where to start except for the barrage of threes that we had was insane. It was Joyless Murderball, Roundball edition, and it was just unreal. I couldn't tweet fast enough.
Yeah, I was running into that too. And I mean, there was literally a part in the broadcast where one of the announcers said, I'm running out of adjectives to say, like, for what's going on. And I mean, I fully agree with him, because right away the tone was set of, we're going to beat you by shooting threes. And to put it into perspective, you look at all those threes that they shot, not only were they going to attack from behind the three-point line, but they were going to get defenders on an island. If you look at all those times John Petty was shooting, he was one-on-one with someone.
Yeah, I mean, he was outstanding. I don't, not that he slowed down in the second half, but we were playing subs early. You know, we had such a big lead. I mean, I think the thing that happened with LSU is, and don't get LSU twisted now. I mean, they're 10-2. They're 5-1 in conference coming into that game. It's not like they're a walk in the park. It's, you know what I mean? It's, you know, technically Auburn, I believe Auburn is the worst team in the SEC right now, which is shocking. But it's not like there's some D3 school coming in there. I mean, it's LSU. And say what you want to about Will Wade, you know, he's had some things that happened to him, but as a basketball coach, that guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. He's, developed some great players. And obviously, like, LSU has been a tough test before, and they were a tough test this year. But it seems that, like, Alabama had been hearing all the news, all the feedback, and they were just ready to send a message and say, we're here and we're here to stay.
Yeah, I think when me and you were talking about this before we started recording tonight, but when you win the tip and the first shot of the game is a three ball by John Petty and it goes in and he sees it go in, it's going to be a long night for the other team. He's just incredible. When he's on, he's on. I heard somebody say he's the best shooter I've ever seen, or he's the best worst shooter I've ever seen. And that was on the Locked On podcast, Locked On Bama podcast I listen to just about every morning, which is true. When he's on, he is unconscious.
Yeah, and we have to agree with that. I mean, the first thing that happened was he shot a three. In fact, he didn't miss a three until there was about 4.5 minutes left in the first half. To go that long with, being perfect there isn't really much more you can ask for. Now, obviously, I know that us as Alabama fans probably would have wanted him to be perfect, but he set the tone. And even when they tried to double him or try to take him away, it goes back to the arsenal that we don't have one guy who can beat you. We have five guys who can beat you, and our five guys are going to do everything they can to beat you.
Yeah, I mean, it was just ungodly. I mean, Petty was ungodly. He, like you said, he didn't miss until 4 minutes left in the first half. He also had 15 points in about 4.5 minutes, which all obviously came behind the 3-point line. And we got such a big lead that the second half was closer as far as total
Yeah.
scoring. It was like 45-43, but we got out to such a big lead. I'm pretty positive we got up by 40 at one point. I mean, we won by 30, but I'm pretty sure it was 40-41, which is against a good LSU team. And like I said, it first game over 100 points this season. I mean, you couldn't have asked for anything better to come out of that game, especially against LSU.
Yeah. I mean, and you look at how everyone just kind of fed off each other. I mean, we've talked about John Petty's A game over the past few weeks and how he's, not only set the Alabama record for threes, but he basically picked up where he left off last week against Arkansas. And then with Primo, obviously he's had a huge coming out party. He had a little bit of a quiet game against Arkansas, but he was either always open or he was finding ways to get it to Petty. And it looked like that corner three, whenever you saw Primo get it, you knew that it was going to go in.
Oh, 100%. I didn't. It's one of those games again where I didn't expect the ball not to go in when when they shot it through. I mean, it was just one of those nights where I was like, okay, he's going to hoist it up and it's going to go in. When they missed, it was like, wow, we actually we we missed a shot. What's crazy to me, and this is going back to our last podcast, and I had mentioned that Alabama needs to shoot 40 to 45% behind the 3-point line to win games. And what did we do? 53.5%. We made 23, which we haven't said yet, but it is the record in the SEC now. They broke their own record. I believe it was their own record from last year, was 22. But 23 threes in a game that's being unconscious behind the 3-point line.
It very much is. And I mean, you have to look at not only how often they're shooting, but how it seems that each game they're getting better at shooting and they're getting more people involved. I mean, remember, Herb Jones shot a three. He's not going to try and beat you shooting threes. He's going to beat you with his defense, with his intelligence, and he's going to post you up in the paint. So seeing Herb get in on the action was definitely one of the biggest things, but it goes back to this Nate Oates offense is so dynamic that you can't leave one person open in the corner because we're going to attack that.
Yeah. This isn't in our notes, Jake, but I want to talk about Nate Oates and what he has done at Alabama. I think we briefly talked about him in the last episode, but what he's done, this guy won in high school level. He won at a small town college at Buffalo. I mean, I think he won the division for Buffalo like 3 out of 4 years, which is crazy. It's Buffalo. Now, granted, Buffalo's not in a great division, but still. And then he comes here, and second year in has a Marine. I'm telling you now, if they win on Saturday against Mississippi State, and I don't care if it's by 1 point, if they win and we are not ranked in the top 10, I'm going to lose my mind.
Oh, no, I fully agree. I mean, you have to think about this. Like you said last time, please give Nate Oates a blank check. I'll reiterate that because not only is he developing blue collar basketball for this team, but he's sending messages. He's not afraid to say, here's what we need to do. And I'm not going to send a message. And if you like it, oh, well. He's like, no, here's what we're doing. And if we need to do this, we need to do this.
Yeah, and I think it was that wake up call. Like one of our social media questions last week was about the when he benched Petty and Rojas, and I think that is where it kind of turned around. I think players started to see a system, said, okay, he's going to do this. We need to step our A game up, and that's what they've done. But again, when we were talking today, I said back the bus up for Nate Oates, and whoever doesn't think that's true, well, they're not watching Alabama basketball right now because
yeah, I mean,
what he's done is insane.
Whatever it took for us to keep Sarah Patterson for gymnastics for all those years, whatever it's taken for us to keep Patrick Murphy for softball, for Jay Sewell for golf, what do we just do that for Nate Oates? Because not
you
only
said the same for Saban.
Yeah, I mean, you saw how, like we mentioned last week, how everything is slowly falling into place of like that football, gymnastics, softball is like rubbing off on basketball. I mean, whatever we've been doing for Dana Duckworth, Patrick Murphy, Jay Sewell, Nick Saban, I think it's time to start bringing that into consideration for Nate Oates because, we brought him in. He obviously at the time wasn't going to be the biggest hire for Alabama because they go from two coaches in the span of 5 years. And he's showing that he is ready for SEC basketball. He's competing with John Calipari, Bruce Pearl, Will Wade. So he's showing that, hey, I might have coached in Buffalo, but Tuscaloosa's going to be put on the map for basketball.
Yeah, let's hope that that we can keep him for a long time. I'd hate to see him go. What he's done, I can't tell you the last time I've been so hyped up for Alabama basketball. I mean, I literally tweeted out before we started, that Alabama men's basketball posted a tweet, this Saturday, game time, all that. And I literally tweeted in all caps, like, this can't come quick enough. I mean, football's over. We're all sad that football's over. We shouldn't be sad because we won a national championship, but we're always sad when football's over because basketball's here and we've been mediocre. But now we kind of have something to look forward to with the basketball. I mean, gymnastics, which I want to give another shout out to. They were incredible last Friday, and if you guys haven't watched them, it's the Iron Bowl of gymnastics tomorrow night. You guys need to go watch them. They're insane. But it's given that Saban, like I said, Saban juju rubbing off onto the basketball team and onto Nate Oates is something that I think Alabama fans have wanted for a long time. I think they thought they were going to get that with Avery Johnson. Not that he was a bad coach, but just his name alone was a huge name, and we kind of thought he's going to bring it. Which he brought in some recruits and some transfers and stuff like that, but it just never panned out like it did like it has with Nate.
Yeah, and I mean, I have to agree with that. Like, Avery Johnson did a great job with us, but I think Nate Oates has adapted to what it was like because when you're playing in a conference with Kentucky, it was a foregone conclusion for such a long time that when we marched into Lexington, we were going to go back to Tuscaloosa with our heads hung low. Now going in there a few weeks ago and beating Kentucky in Rupp against the legendary John Calipari, it's perking up ears.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, if you look on Twitter, it's really any social media. It's talking about. I mean, they're talking a lot about this last game just because of the record and the barrage of threes we hit, and that I got something here that I found on Twitter, and it says Alabama was picked to finish 5th in the SEC this year. They're 7-0 in the SEC. They've beaten teams picked that were supposed to be picked 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7. That's Tennessee, Kentucky, LSU, Florida, Arkansas, and Auburn. And they've beaten them by an average of 18 points per game. Yeah, they just finished the hard part of their schedule. That, we were picked 5th. So we literally have beat every team before us that was picked, and the 2 that were, Arkansas and Auburn and Akron. It is insane to think, one, that we're undefeated in SEC play, but 2, that all those teams were ranked above us, and we beat all of them. The closest game in that was, what was it? Probably the Florida game, maybe?
It was
No. Who did we beat by 4? Oh, it was Auburn. We only beat Auburn by 4. So, but the last couple, I mean, you rout Kentucky by 20 at Rupp. You rout Arkansas by 31. Then we rout LSU by 30. I mean, it's like football margins of victory right now.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with that. It's just like they're a team that they want to prove people wrong, and I feel like that's just Alabama's DNA, is that they're going to prove people wrong. And I mean, you look at Tennessee, they just had that thrashing from Florida, and obviously
that wasn't a thrashing, Jake. That was an ass whooping, dude.
We got to give them some benefit. But like, you look at it and you think about how there are so many teams in the rankings that shouldn't be there, and Alabama definitely deserves to be there. And they've showed it each week, and they're finally getting that recognition they deserve.
Amidst this weird last year we had with COVID and obviously coming into this year, it's really weird to look at basketball. Duke's not very good. North Carolina, not very good. Kentucky, I'm sorry if anybody's listening to us right now that's a Kentucky fan. They're probably not, because this is an Alabama podcast, but we got some friends that are Kentucky fans. They're a damn dumpster fire right now. They can't figure out what the heck they need to do. It's just a weird year in college basketball to see. Who would have thought Alabama basketball would be as good as they are? Did you think they were? Because I didn't.
No, I was excited. I mean, we got some great leadership back. We got a really good recruiting class, and you had something to look forward to in year 2. I knew that we are a team full of surprises where we'll beat 1 or 2 ranked teams, but when we beat Kentucky and Rupp, and the week before when we beat Tennessee and upset them, I kind of started getting a feeling that maybe this is for real.
Yeah, it started a little bit with me in Tennessee, and we beat Auburn by 4. It really started when we went to Rupp and beat them by 20. That's when I thought, and again, Kentucky's kind of on a down year. I don't care. It's still Kentucky. But after that is when I thought, okay, we got something going here. And I also looked today, I saw something somebody had tweeted. I don't remember who it was. Literally, they whatever the metrics are and computer algorithms, literally we are favored to win every single game the rest of the year. Literally every game. And obviously, if we do that, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But the likelihood of that happening is slim to none, but if you're favored to win every single game, and mind you, just real quick, we were favored by 1 against LSU. 1. I put $50 on that game because I'm like, what the heck? I'm just going to try it. And we won by 30.
It's crazy what life can be. But no, I mean, you have to think about it. You've seen how dynamic this team is. And obviously now, even if it's just we're going to pick you by 1, this team is going to come out here and say, no, we deserve to be up there with Gonzaga. We deserve to be up there with, Kansas. Obviously, no one can have an explanation for why some teams are the way they are this year, but Alabama has not taken a step back. They've taken a leap forward.
Yeah. I don't care what teams have done in the past and what I, I just want our team to keep getting better, which they are. And Coach Oates said that he's like, he was still mad a little bit. He's so much of a young Saban to me. He doesn't get as fired up as Saban, but just when we won by 30 points against LSU and scored over 100 and set a record, he said he still wasn't happy with some of the decisions and players and the playmaking. I thought, my God, man, it's like Saban Jr. right now. But let's look. I told you we already talked for 20 dang minutes on this, but I wanted to talk a little bit of stats before we got to take a quick break. So the thing I'm just gonna say, the thing obviously that stuck out was the three ball. Obviously, we shot 53.5%, and LSU shot right under 20. So we were 23 for 43. They were 5 for 26. Right there is why you won a game.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to look at not only are these stats like impeccable, but they were doing it early and they were doing it efficiently. And it just seemed that there was no answer. Like, even though the game ended with 105-75 win, it always felt out of reach. And one announcer said, it seems like based on the hustle from Alabama that they're playing down, but they never were down. They never lost the lead. And I think the biggest concern was, are we going to beat them by 40 or less?
Yeah, I think that when we shoot the three ball like that, man, no, when any team shoots a three ball like that, it's going to be hard to beat them. But that's our game. We want to get down the floor, get quick shots, and put it up. You know, we're a Herb Jones fan account here. If you haven't known this already, me and Jake are like Herb Jones galore, fanatic galores here. He had a solid game. But what I want to talk about is the minutes that these guys play. And I think Shaq had the most, 27. I think Petty was right below. Petty didn't play like the last
No, he only
7.
played a good 20
I mean,
minutes.
our starters didn't play the last 8 minutes, 7 minutes of the game. So, and if you look back too, I'm not 100% sure, but we don't have players playing 30 plus minutes. Our rotation is deep right now, and we got some freshmen that are going to be coming in too. This team it's going to be dangerous, I think, for the near future and future.
Yeah, and I mean, you see, like, they're all out recruiting, they're all out changing the game, and now Tuscaloosa is becoming a destination for basketball for new players.
100%. Yeah, I just I want to give props to a couple of players that we had 4 players in double digits by halftime. Um, Obviously one is Petty, which we've already harped on, and what he did. We talked about Primo, um, and what he did. He was 6 for 8 or something, like, yeah, 6 for 8 behind the 3-point line. We haven't, and if you remember, we started talking about this, and I mentioned it last time about Quinterly, and I said he hasn't been great. It was his first game back. He needs to get his shot. Well, by God, hell, he got his shot back. 6 for 7 behind the line and 8 for 11 total with 22 points. So he got into rhythm, and I think when one player's making shots and another guy is, the team sees that, it just feeds off of it, and they all continue to hit shots. But Quinterly was great too in this game.
Oh, he was phenomenal. He was getting those looks and he looked comfortable. And I mean, we're easing him back in, but he was looking like that 5-star recruit. And I think we're excited about him, but he's definitely shown that he's getting eased back in.
By the way, LSU's stud Watford, which everybody pretty much knows who he is, he played 31 minutes and had 11 points, and 8 rebounds and 3 assists. So I think that kid's averaging like close to 20 a game. And we kind of talked about this last week too again, and we're going to get to it because I think it's part of a social media question. But the defense has been playing really good. I know we gave up 75 points, but the our defense turns into offense, which is great for us. I think they're getting better and better, and we always talk about how great we are on offense and scoring and hitting 3 ball and getting inside and getting fouled and going to the line. And we don't talk enough about defense, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time about it, but that is something that I have seen really improve this season versus last.
And I have to agree with that too. I think that their defense is becoming the offense, and you have to see that their main goal was to get Trendon Watford taken away. They took him away. They were not going to let him beat Alabama, and they perfected that. I mean, they didn't want him to score. He did not score. He scored 11 points in 31 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, that kid's a stud. Watford's a stud. I went back and watched a little bit of him, and he's just big and good. But all in all, man, I don't know what else to say. We sat here and talked, and we tweeted about we're going to talk for 30 minutes, and we've talked for 26. So we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to go over just a little bit of what's going to happen in this Mississippi State game that's coming up on Saturday. So we'll be right back.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Hey, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. And I got a couple of reasons why. Number one, hey, it's free, guys. It doesn't cost you a dime. Also, there's a creation tool there. It allows you to record and edit your podcast from your phone or your computer. Everybody's on their phones and computers all day long. It's awesome. Hey, they'll also distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more options. You can make money from this, guys, from your podcast. No minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Hey, so guys, if you really want to start doing this, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
We got Mississippi State this Saturday, and they are, I'm not going to say they're a bad team because nobody in the SEC is bad, but they're 9-6, 4-3 in conference. So they got some pretty good players on their team that are solid. I think though that it should be a win for us. I'm just going to say it now. I don't expect to lose the rest of the year, like we said before, but this should be a game that is, I'm not going to say it's a 20-point win, but it should be, right?
Right. I think with this is going to be one of those games where we still need to play hard, still need to play good, because they have some good wins, but this isn't a game that we should go into like having that feeling we're going to win by 30. We just need to go in, play the way we've played this year, and make sure that we're not letting it go to our head.
Yeah, it's a kind of a trap game for me. It's like I hope we don't come out and get cocky. And confidence, okay, you can be confident, but we don't need to come out there and say, "Oh, they're 9-6, they're Mississippi State, they're 4-3 in conference. We're 7-0," and get lackadaisical and get away from the game plan. Like I said, and you said, they've got some good quality wins. I mean, they got beat by Ole Miss by like 18, but they beat Florida, which is a big win, and they beat Mizzou.
Yeah.
And Mizzou's not, I mean, hell, they were ranked, I think, 10th in the beginning of the season. So they've got some good wins. If I'm looking at stat wise, we average about 10 more points a game than them, but we give up about 4 points a game more than them. So, and they shoot the ball better as far as statistics wise, they do. So it's actually pretty evenly matched as far as what's happened statistically this year with them. And like I said, I hope it's kind of a trap game to me because I don't want these guys to get too confident and not play the basketball that they've been playing.
Yeah, and I think with that, like that's something that Nate Oates and Antoine Petway are making sure that this team is doing well. It's not getting too cocky, still staying confident, but making sure that they realize that we play good, but we still need to be, humble and remember that we should play every game as if we're down.
Yeah. You know who I want to see have a good game this game? Because he did not have a good game last game. Is Jordan Shackelford. Shaq, not that he played bad last game, but I mean, he had like 6 points. He had a lot of assists though. I mean, if Shackelford would have joined in on the 3-point barrage, we were going to score 125 points. I mean, everybody was tweeting, I want 100. Well, we got 100, and then we were dissatisfied because we didn't get 120. So I hope Shackelford comes out and he's like 7 for 8 behind the 3-point line and just I hate to call him streaky, Jake, but he's kind of been streaky lately.
He's kind of been streaky. I think that's something he'll need to work on, but I think that is a player that we want to see back on the right track because everything is slowly coming together with Quinterly. Primo's been phenomenal, and obviously Shaq is one of our best shooters, if not our best shooter. I still think he's due for a big game.
Yeah, he's so due for a big game. I just like you said, I think coach is going to have them ready to go. Again, I got not saying we're going to lose. I just got a bad feeling this is a bad trap game because they're a good team. They're not a great team, but when you come into a game like this at an all-time high of a previous game that you set a record and you got everybody was unconscious from the floor, and I will say this though, our starters should be rested. They didn't play but 20 minutes, of a game, so they should be rested and ready to go. And hopefully we can pull out this W and go 8-0 in conference. And again, if we are not ranked in the top 10, Jake, I'm Twitter mode engaged.
Oh yeah.
On next Tuesday when rankings come out.
I'm fully with you on that, Adam.
Yeah. So I don't want to spend too much time on Mississippi State because I want to see what happens, and see if we can come out with the same intensity that we had last, against LSU on Tuesday. But let's switch gears here for a second. We've been hyping basketball last week and this week, and let's talk about a couple of things from Alabama football that we know is going on. There's a ton going on, but we got to touch on just a couple of things. So the first thing is, excuse me, we hired Bill O'Brien, and I've seen mixed emotions from people on Bill O'Brien. I love the hire, and I'll tell you why. He is a great offensive coordinator. I think he's a good coach in general. The reason he was bad in Houston in the pros, he was a horrible GM. Just he's not good at it. When he had too much power there. I mean, the man traded DeAndre Hopkins and for David Johnson and I don't know what it was, a 6th round pick or something
Yeah.
like that. That's a horrible move. But here he comes to the Saban Rehabilitation Center, and I think he's going to be great. I don't know if the offense is going to be as prolific as it was this year, because this year was just insane what they did, the records they did, and what they did, and Sark's play calling is ingenious at times. But I think that he's a good quarterback guy, and we got young quarterbacks now. Uh, and like I said, I like the hire. I really do. I think he's a good recruiter too, which obviously helps with what we have going in Alabama. But I think he's going to fit in well. I think because he's not going to have a ton of power, and Saban's going to let him run the offense, but come in when he needs to.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree with that. The big thing with this hire is that you're bringing him in to be an offensive coordinator. You're not bringing him in to be the head coach. So he's not going to have the power that Saban does. And if he does, then, Saban's going to shut that down real quick. And we've seen what he can do at Penn State. We've seen what he can do with the Patriots as an offensive coordinator. And, he doesn't have to be Sark. He doesn't have to be Sark. He doesn't have to be Lane Kiffin. What he just needs to do is make sure that this team is, doing their job. And, I mean, he inherits Bryce Young, so he'll have the chance to see what Bryce Young can do, and then he can see what he can take from Tom Brady's game or from, Deshaun Watson's game and implement that. But I'm with you on that, Adam. I mean, it's a good hire. He doesn't need to, be a general manager or someone he's not. It's similar to like what happened when Alabama brought in Lane Kiffin. It was a questionable hire, but it turned out to be probably one of the best hires. It paved the way for Sark. And I mean,
hell, people Jake questioned when we hired Sark.
Yeah, people questioned that, and Sark turned out to be one of our best offensive coordinators. So it goes back to bringing in those three. They don't need to be a head coach. They just need to make sure that the offense is running smoothly.
Yeah, I think he's going to be fine. I think he inherits he's inheriting a good team too. And if you guys haven't seen our recruiting class, I did some recruiting episodes a while back, but what we have coming in, it's ungodly. What we have, it's insane. I mean, I think they have the best line coming in. There's like 4 or 5 stud receivers. It's a fun time not only to be an Alabama football fan. It's a fun time to be just an Alabama athletics fan in general, with basketball and gymnastics, and we got baseball coming up. We got softball kicking off. Golf, all of it, everything is good. But O'Brien, I think, is going to be fine. I think once he gets in there and develops his system, I don't know if we can top what we did this past season. It's going to be hard, but we'll see what he does. Doug Marone, I like that hire too. I think him on the O line is going to be great. I mean, obviously he was at the Jags. I don't know. Was he the offensive line coach before he was the head coach?
He was the O-line coach for the Jags, and then they promoted him to interim, and then they just kept him on as the head coach. But what I've heard about him as an O-line coach is that he, is really good at getting the offensive line not only to be one of the best that they can be, but he's good at developing them. And, he returns 3 starters. So getting Evan Neal back, Emil Ekiyor, and then getting Chris Owens, those 3 are huge. And then he has a chance to either develop J.C. Latham or the Brockmeyer twins. So he has such a great disposable on the O-line that he doesn't have to worry about doing a full rebuild. He just has to worry about who is ready and who do I need to work on developing.
Yeah, I think one of the Brockmeyer twins and Latham are probably going to start on that line this year. I really do. I mean, it's crazy to think, probably 7 or 8 years ago, freshmen wouldn't play on our team. They wouldn't see the field.
Yeah.
And now
yeah,
it totally changed. I mean, Malachi Moore was a freaking stud this year, and we didn't even have him in the playoffs. But him and Will Anderson, my God. I mean, we've got them for 2 more seasons. So,
Yeah.
I mean, technically you could say 3 because this year didn't really count. So they could technically still play, But I mean, Malachi Moore, he's going to play his 3 and be gone. He's that good. He's going to be gone after 3 years. But
oh yeah, he can probably slide into Surtan's spot. But I mean, you think about it, Cam Robinson came in 2014, and it had been what 7 years, I think, since someone started as a true freshman on the O line.
Yeah.
That was Andre Smith.
Yeah.
Cam Robinson came in and basically set the tone for freshman starting because it went from Cam to Jonah Williams to Evan Neal, and now you have a chance for the Brockmeyer twins or J.C. Latham to play, and then same thing kind of happened. Alex Leatherwood came off the bench as a freshman, so it's becoming more amazing how these freshmen are coming in 18, 19 years old, and they're college ready to play. Like, they're either on the 2 deep or they're the starter.
Yeah. I think I don't know how we got off track from Doug Marone, but it's not hard to when you talk Alabama football. But anyway, I think that he brings a lot of experience. I also think he'll be able to help in recruiting as well. And I'm pretty sure I saw some. I don't know this for sure, but I think Doug Marone and Bill O'Brien are really close friends in real life. Like
they are. I think they work together on a staff together, so getting them is going to be huge, not only for this team, but the personal relationship too.
Yeah. All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to end up, we got a couple of social media questions, and then we're going to get out of here. So we'll be right back. Got some social media questions, and the first one is Tim Elliott. Tim always sends us stuff, so thanks, Tim. He said, kind of not really a question, but he wanted us to talk about it. Just talk about the defensive effort on this team. Aggressive defense leads to some transition buckets, just how well they've been doing that. And we kind of echoed that a little bit in the beginning. Yeah, I think he's right. I think that, like we said, the defense leads to offense, and the defense has been improving. And when we're clicking on D, then the O is probably going to probably do their job and be pretty good.
Yeah, and I have to agree with that. I mean, getting our defense to become the best offense has been our best opportunity, and I think that comes with having Herb and getting some great help from others. But that was the other thing, is that this team, if they turn the ball over, they're going to do everything they can to get the ball back.
Yeah, this is where you insert Herb Jones. Not that he's not a force on offense, but again, most underrated player, I think, in college basketball. And mainly it's because of his defense to me, because he is really long. He hustles. He takes charges. He rebounds the basketball. He's a 6'9" point guard. I mean, when he needs to be. I mean, the guy's phenomenal, but his defense is what sets the tone for not only our team but our offense.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I mean, he is the glue that holds that team together. And you see that, like, with him, it's just a completely different story. And I know that we've all mentioned that we are a Herb Jones fan account, but I think with this, his defense has rubbed off because you see it with Alex Reese. And then you see that even when Jordan Bruner, before he got hurt, they were playing phenomenal defense, but that phenomenal defense is still growing.
Yeah, I think you know, we didn't talk a lot about Alex Reese, and he's he's a big part of that defense too. I mean, big body, physical, really physical player that I don't think gets enough credit for how good he is either, because he's a big man that can shoot the ball. I don't know how tall he is. I think he's like 6'9", 6'10", but he doesn't get enough. People, well, we love him, and Alabama fans love him. But I don't think he gets enough credit either for his defensive ability either.
I don't think he does. And I mean, you look at it, he took a back seat when Jordan Bruner came in and he said, I'm okay with coming off the bench. And he's been in the system for 4 years, so he knows what to do. But that was a big thing on him, was where he said, I'm okay with taking a back seat and coming off for like a change of energy. And he continued to do that very well. And when Jordan Bruner was out, he had the next man up mentality, and it's very much shown because he has that presence too.
Yeah, he's for Alex Reese to say that I'm fine with coming off the bench that says something about his character too, because he he's a senior, man. He wants to play, and he gets his minutes. Don't get me wrong. Now he really is, because Bruner's hurt, but if Bruner wasn't hurt, he wouldn't be getting probably near the minutes he gets now. But that just shows a lot about his character. But I thought that we'd mention him just because I don't think he gets enough credit for his defense. I think I don't know, and this is just me, but I think Ellis is the best on-ball defender. And that might be me. Shaq's pretty good too, and so is Primo. But on the ball defender, dude, Ellis is good defensively. Not that he's bad offensively, but I think he's our best. You might have a different opinion, but that's what I think.
Right. I think Ellis definitely has a good shot. I mean, looking at his stats right now, and obviously, he's a young guy, but I think you look at his rebounds and the fact that he's averaging almost 3 rebounds a game, that shows that he's going to go for the ball. And, his steals and his blocks, those aren't going to excite many people, but he's almost averaging a steal per game. And the person who leads us in steals right now, Jordan Bruner, obviously he's out, but I feel like Ellis can step up along with Alex Reese in getting those steals up.
Yeah. I don't have anything else to add on defense, man, except that they've been playing lights out, which has turned us into, turned that into offense. And I think, like I said, Tim's right. The aggressive style that they are playing on defense turns into an aggressive style on offense, and it's I hope that that can continue for the rest of the season. So, we got one more question. It says, this is Lillian Kaufman, Jake. Do you think that Alabama basketball can win a national championship like football did this year? And I think I think we kind of did. We talked about it last year. Or last week.
Last time. No, I know what you meant.
And I absolutely 100% think we could. And that's not me just being a Bama fan. It is and it isn't. I think the team You go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Say what you're going to say.
I think with this, they actually have a pretty good shot. They're getting over those tough games. Their team chemistry is amazing. So I think they actually have a shot and deserve to be up there in the talks with Gonzaga, Villanova. And I think it's slowly like all coming together. So I think they definitely have a shot. But I think right now, I think it's possible. I mean, I'm not going to say this as an Alabama fan or an Alabama graduate, but they're playing amazing basketball. And I think if they keep playing it just like that, they have a really good shot of not only getting into the tournament, but maybe even making a run to the Final Four.
Yeah, I want to win the SEC first, and I want to see what kind of seed we get. Like I said, I think I talked about this last time. I think that we need like a 1 through 5 seed and because tournament time is crazy. I don't know what's going to happen this year in the tournament because of fans. That usually that's different. I don't think obviously there's going to be many fans, if any, in these, but I think we need like a 1 through 5 seed because that'll put us up against, anywhere from a 16 down to whatever, a 12 or 13. I think that we need a couple of those games to kind of get clicking and stay moving. And I think I really think we can make a deep run. Win a national championship, that's hard to do in college basketball. Well, it's hard to do in any sport, but it's just March Madness is a different game, man, a different animal. But I'm telling you, if the guys can play and Oates and Pelway can keep them focused on how they're playing right now, there's no reason not to believe it.
Yeah, and I have to agree with that. I think it is very possible that they can get at it, and I think with Nate Oates, they actually have a really good shot of getting there.
Yeah. I do. Let's hope they do.
Yeah.
How awesome would it be to win a national title in football and then a national title in basketball? And let's just say the softball team wins one.
It'd be indescribable for sure.
So that's all I got, man. I mean, yes. The answer is yes. Answer is yes. I think they can. So that's it, man. I appreciate everything from you, Jake. I appreciate everybody listening. Hey, please remember to, again, follow us on Twitter. Oh, Jake and I, we started an Instagram, Tide Nation Podcast on Instagram. So go check us out on there also. We'll be posting stuff throughout the weeks. And Jake's probably going to do a little bit more of that than I am, but I'm on there too. But yeah, please remember to follow us, share, subscribe, review. We're available on everything. We're on iHeart now, YouTube. So we appreciate you guys. Follow us on Twitter, Tide Nation Podcast. You can follow me, Adam Raymer 11, and Jake is Slick by Jake. So, man, it was good night tonight.
Yeah, it was a great night.
And let's get pumped up for Saturday. So roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Let's get pumped. You know, man.